And good morning again. Here we are. Here she is, full of feist, ready to take Andrew down, except that she'll take me on first. I'm not going to show you my black eye. See, I'm keeping one eye out.
You make altogether too much fuss, I keep telling you.
I don't like you thumping me. Good morning, everybody. Here we go again.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so
Lovely
much
Monday
for
morning.
tuning in.
Right, what have we got on board this morning?
Israel.
Right.
Israel, very, very important subject that is dominating all the world, I suppose,
Yeah, it
of
is.
the dreadful things that are going on there. Yesterday, Israelis protested last night in Tel Aviv in front of the Ministry of Defense, demanding the return of hostages and the resignation of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it a big demonstration?
Oh, colossal. Absolutely colossal. Yes, I couldn't estimate how many people there,
Right.
but it was an awful lot. Way into the night
Yeah.
it went there. So there's a little bit of action there. Now we're definitely on the road to World War III. This monster, Netanyahu, who allowed his people to be slaughtered,
Right.
mass murdered, um, might get his comeuppance, but I doubt it. I really do. These people are protected by so many people, you see. It's all rather a game, yes. Joe Biden has given $100 billion for Israel and Ukraine. Israel said this could take months, looking at years, obviously, going into World War III. Also, Ukraine was offered a very serious peace deal by Russia, but America said don't take it.
Right.
What a mess.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, your favourite man, Stanley Johnson, his son, actually said that Biden said the right thing. He said, "Yes, it sounds like a lot of money, and yes, look, everybody is straining for peace." But he said, the history of the world is that if we don't stop all this now, or at least put into place stuff to try and stop it now, we will regret it down the line.
They got it all planned out now.
Well, I don't know whether Boris is part of it, is he?
So bad. Oh, yes, of course,
Oh.
they're all in it together,
All right.
my love. Yeah, they all know what's going on, and they all know what the future holds for us, too. This is a deja vu thing that I came across. Hermann Goring said this: voice or no voice, the people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. All they have to do is tell them they are being attacked and denounce the pacifist for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same in any country, said Hermann Goring all those years ago.
Right. Explain who Hermann Goering is, because you got a whole
He
generation.
was one of Hitler's
Right.
main aides. Yes, I'm not certain if he was the one that took the cyanide.
I think it was.
I believe it was him.
I think it was,
wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, and he was actually in charge of the Air Force, wasn't he? He was the man that Hitler blamed for not being able to invade Britain because the RAF beat them in the Battle of Britain.
I see. So
Okay.
he got a bollocking for that.
Yeah, oh, he did indeed. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, let's go back to this. Israel. The night shift is on constant alert. What happened? How did a Palestinian tractor penetrate the Gaza boundary? without being noticed by security.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that
Yes,
interesting?
I mean, I think that it's you that used the quote, "The cockroach could walk across that without
That's
being
it.
noticed."
I mean, it is so sensitive. They say from the air they can see a mouse cross over. It is unbelievable what they've got there security wise. And Netanyahu was warned that there was going to be an attack by Egypt. The Egyptians warned him that there was going to be a very serious attack
Yeah.
3 times. And he said, "Oh, I didn't pay attention because I was preoccupied." How can this man do this?
Yeah. It does beg a belief. I agree. Yeah.
I mean, all those people who were, slaughtered, and the fact also that they changed the venue of the rave, they call it. Don't like that word, but that seems to be the expression today, where the people were dancing and enjoying themselves. They changed that venue, which had been booked, to a different one, much, 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 much closer to the border. So all these Hamas had to do is walk through, bang, we've got the lot.
Yeah.
That was the first bunch of people they came across. This is interesting. An Israeli woman who survived the Hamas assault on settlements near the Gaza boundary on the 7th of October says Israeli civilians were undoubtedly killed by their own security forces. Yeah. It happened.
Who said that?
This is an Israeli woman
Okay,
who survived
yeah.
the Hamas attack. She survived, her partner didn't. Yes. She claims Israeli civilians were undoubtedly killed by their own security forces. It happened when Israeli forces engaged in fierce gun battles with Palestinian fighters in Kibbutz Be'eri and fired indiscriminately at both fighters and their Israeli prisoners. They eliminated everyone, including the hostages. She told Israeli radio there was very, very heavy crossfire and even tank shelling. The woman, 44 years of age, mother of 3, Jasmine Porat, said that prior to that, she and other civilians had been held by the Palestinians for several hours and were treated humanely. She had fled the nearby Nova rave. A recording of her interview from the radio program Hoboken Hazes This Morning, in brackets, hosted by Araya Golan on State Broadcasting KAN, has been circulating on social media. The interview has been translated by the Electronic Intifada. You can listen to it with English subtitles on davidicke.com.
Yeah.
Very interesting, yes. Yeah, a summary of things that happened in the week before the bloodshed in Israel. 10 days before the killing of innocent civilians, Egypt warned Israel. They took no notice. 3 days before Hamas' deadly cross-border raid, Egypt once again warned Israel about the potential violence. 2 days before the Israeli rave mission, where at least 260 people were killed, the organizers moved the location of the festival to within earshot of the Gaza Strip. Oh, yes, another bit of news. One lady was in a bunker room and it took the military 9 hours to rescue her. They've been interviewing people who escape with their lives in the kibbutz. and one was rescued by her grandfather, who got a gun and drove, and there's dead bodies in the streets, but he pushed on regardless. Very, very brave man, and rescued his daughter, his son-in-law, and two beautiful little girls who they said
And he rescued them.
rescued
Ah,
them.
wonderful story.
This old military
Yeah.
granddad
Yeah.
did that all on his own, and very, very touching story. And they were talking. She said, they said, were your little girls frightened? She said, they behaved beautifully. We told them, please, you must be quiet, not talk at all. They sat like this, not a word out of these little people. And this was many hours, and suddenly there's a knock at the door. And one little girl rushed to the door. She said, it's Granddad. She knew. And they sat down and they talked to these people, and they were so grateful to the grandfather and that. And the interviewer said to them, well, what happened to the military? She said, that's a very good question. What happened? They know, they know it all. Very tragic. What have I got here? 15-minute cities.
Yes.
Your
Right,
favorite.
we're moving away from Israel now.
We've done the Israel bit.
Right.
It was a big riot last night, demonstration where they called for the. Also, I've missed out a very, very serious bit. I haven't written that down, but they said that Hamas said, stop bombing Palestine, stop bombing Palestine, and we'll give you your people back. And he went ahead and kept doing it.
Yeah.
He didn't do business with them. All very, very tragic. And as I said when I came in here, at 3:00 in the morning, I looked on the internet, and Israel, the people were demonstrating very, very heavily and very angry, demanding that the hostages be returned, and that Netanyahu immediately tendered his resignation. Yeah. And they look like they really meant business. Okay, now back to our favorites. Yes, our 15-minute cities, because I know you love those best
I
of
do,
all.
yes.
Don't you? I'm sorry, it's very bad news, Keith. 15 minutes, controversial low traffic neighborhoods made permanent in East Oxford. 3 low traffic neighborhoods, LTN, that's what they call them, will be retained with cameras replacing road blocking bollards. Some residents criticized councillors for ploughing ahead despite lacking consent. The Oxfordshire County Council, which is led by a Liberal Democrat Green Alliance, agreed to keep the controversial traffic limiting scheme around Divinity Road, St. Clement's and St. Mary's on Tuesday after a heated 3-hour meeting, which became rowdy at times. However, traffic blocking bollards will be replaced with automatic number plate recognition cameras. So emergency services, taxis, bin collectors and postmen can drive through. A resident opposing the plan accused councillors of disregarding the pleas and suffering of the people and businesses in favour of a selfish minority of idealists, adding, "We will vote you out."
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, this is a little example, a reality for 15-minute cities.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going ahead with them, no
Right.
matter what. And if they're doing it, then they're going to do that all over the country, aren't they? It's
Yeah, right.
Oh, Biden, yes, I said that, gives $100 billion for Israel and Ukraine. He's going to finance both wars. Israel said this war could take months. Yes. Oh, hang on. Most of my stuff's been on Israel for the obvious reasons. It's so dominating, and I don't see how we can possibly avoid World War III with everything that they're planning and preparing for. It seems inevitable, I'm afraid. Anthony Bridgen made his speech.
Yes. I know. I'm interested in that as well, because
yes.
You actually were one of the few that actually pointed out his initial speech, his first speech, made to an empty House of Commons,
absolutely.
for which he didn't somebody try to ban him for a little while from the House of Commons.
Oh yes, he got punished, and go away, and you're in Coventry, and but not talking to you, bugger off, for 6 weeks. Then got himself back in, and he made another incredibly important speech on the WEF.
Right.
And the way it was coming into our country, the way the government had allowed them in to take over and do what they wanted to with the schools, etc., and so forth. And he said these people should not be allowed here. They screwed up with the injections and the lockdowns. They were all responsible for that.
Right.
And none of it worked. And he said, we are in grave danger from these people, from totally taking over this world domination thing that they have going. And we should have no part of it. That room was full. That room was full. And they sat there, whole face like that. Nobody, not one person made any remark to what this man was talking about, which is so vitally important, not only to Britain, but to the world. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Then he got a chance to do this speech, when was it, on Friday, about the injections being very unsafe. And, he went in armed up to the gills, naturally, with all the information and, statistics galore. I think there were 3 people there.
Yeah.
I think so. Just 3.
3
people. That was all I could count. But they said there was some people up in the gallery that were cheering him on.
Right.
I didn't. But this is very interesting. While they were broadcasting this, the BBC underneath were not printing what he was saying. They were printing exactly what they said when they were first pushing these drugs. These could be used on, could be. What does that mean? Could be. Could be used on the public for all things, that they were telling us during the pandemic to force us to take these things.
Jabs.
Jabs, and which was terribly distracting from what the man was talking about. Very, very distracting. There was one politician there, our little politician here, who was at the first meeting about these. She was asked for her opinion, and she said, well, I'm a nurse, and I think these injections have all saved lives. Now, then she was there. Well, at least she did show up, was there, the only one there to contact, and she went through all the statistics again and blah, blah, blah. It was very, very tedious. And I heard, listen, I can't be sure, but I think I heard her say that should be investigated. But I don't know what it was, Keith. I'm sorry. And believe me, I tried very hard to find this. The phone rang. I had to put the machine off. I tried to find it again, and I was unsuccessful. There's nothing on her website saying she was even there.
Yeah, some of those information sources they're a bit vague, aren't they?
Terribly vague, terribly. I mean, now she has masses of stuff on her website too. I've opened this and I've opened that and blah, 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 blah. Nothing about a terribly important subject like this. I mean,
yeah. Do you find it odd?
No, I find it true to form because she's part of the cult. Well, she hasn't got the brain to be part of the cult. I'm sorry, but she follows the leader.
Right.
She follows what the government says. What the government wants her to say. She wants to get elected next time, the same as they all do. And I'm like you, Keith. I haven't really got the patience to listen to these people. I'm more into world affairs because it immediately affects us.
Yeah. Well, I must confess that I had a little rant this morning, and mostly about the police allowing these demonstrations to go ahead yesterday. But there was something that said, you mentioned the government, and I said that really the government of any country it's civil service, and our civil service is pretty poor to begin with, but secondly, they've all spent so much time away from Whitehall, they don't want to go back.
Yeah.
And thirdly, the civil service prior to any lockdown or whatever were terribly inefficient. Yeah. So no wonder that we're in a state in this country that we are.
Yes. Well, these people that are, saying hate out in the street and kill the Jews and these terrible, dreadful, appalling things. If they're so keen on the Palestinians, then why don't they go over there and fight with them? And don't accept our hospitality here and the benefits that they get from living in a magnificent country like Britain. It's all wrong. I mean, this is absolutely appalling. But I tend to think there's method in these things. They let these people rant and rave there because they want to stop demonstrations of any kind. So that means we can't demonstrate and they can't too. That's what that is all about.
Yeah. Well, I made a point this morning, and I think that I was repeating one of your points, and that is that people who come to this country, particularly seeking asylum, they should not come and set up ghettos. They should, there shouldn't be a West Indian ghetto. There shouldn't be a Palestinian ghetto. There shouldn't be a French ghetto for that matter.
And there's sure one in Sweden, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Or is there?
But you should be prepared if you want to come here and you see it as a place that is attractive to you, and that's why you came. You must be prepared to come and abide by the social fabric. And the legislation and so on of the country.
Of course they should.
We made a huge mistake in allowing these, I call them ghettos. I mean, you hear it, Chinatown, Japanese town, and various quarters that are got names for West Indians, East Indians, and so on. That to me is all wrong, and we should never have allowed that in the first place.
Absolutely not. No.
Because that's where half the trouble starts.
Well, we are, my sentiments on this, we are quite a small island and we cannot accommodate all these people. And then you get from Brussels, you've got to take so many because we've taken so many. Germany's a whacking great big country, so is France. We are small.
Yeah.
Why do we have to take in this amount of people that they're telling us we've got to take?
Very good point. Very good point.
And I mean, look at Australia. I mean, they're enormous. They don't take anybody in. They know what to do with them down there.
No, I mean, actually, is a quote what I would call the liberal factor in this country. We're always on about getting into a country and so on and so forth will make it difficult. You try getting into America and live. You try getting into Canada and live. You try getting into Australia and live.
It's very, very
try and get into
difficult.
France and live. Yeah,
It's very difficult. Yes.
but we know we must have open borders.
Yes, bring them all in.
yeah.
Come on in. You come now. This is not charity. You're welcome here. I mean, it costs, I think, something like £70,000 a night or something to put these people up, and then you can't pay your gas bill.
There's a difference between xenophobia and being concerned about the effect of multi thousands of people pouring in each day.
Well, it's frightful. I mean, if these people were under sentence of death, then of course we must try to help them, but they're not. They're coming from countries that are perfectly safe.
Yeah, but isn't it where government gets itself into such a tizzy because it can't break out of the way of thinking. I mean, here we are pouring foreign aid into India, which has got its own nuclear program.
Well, exactly. I mean, and there's America borrowing money off of Russia to give to Ukraine. I mean, what's that all about? Huh?
Yes.
Now I find, and also these politicians. I mean, don't some of them, aren't they allowed to have two jobs?
Oh yes. There's nothing to stop them.
But I mean, I think running a country is a pretty important job and would take up your working hours.
I think this point was made some time ago, and it is worth reiterating. Is there is a strong feeling that an MP should be an MP for the length of and not take extra jobs.
Well, no.
And a number of them do, particularly so-called consultancies.
Yeah. Exactly, and get a fortune for it too.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
yeah. But things changed when we started to. I mean, I'm sorry to say it, pay salaries to MPs. Suddenly, is instead of a sense of duty, is a sense of how much can we make out of this.
Yes. Yeah, all over the world, they were only in it for the money. I mean, take away the money. I mean, would they show up for work? I don't think so. No.
I mean, I was thinking the other day, if you want to know how badly somebody screwed up when they were in government, is see what sort of honour they were given.
Yeah, well, yes.
The bigger the screw up, the bigger the honour.
Yeah. I mean, the money that Tony Blair gets on the lecture circuit, and I suppose Netanyahu. I mean, I'd take him out and string him up there and then. Forget the courts, forget the bloody lot.
Well, Netanyahu is actually
he's part of the cult. The man takes his orders from much high up.
Yeah, but I mean, he is a bit of a rogue anyway. I mean, he's a good recruit for people who want to misbehave.
He's like Berlusconi, isn't he? Yeah, they keep bringing him back because he's a good little servant. He does as he's told.
Well, of course, the other thing is a demagogue, somebody who sort of says you're under threat and I can save you. It always appeals to the populace, whether it's true or not.
Yeah. But we're in a right mess. The only way chance we've got, as I keep on saying, is David Icke's been saying this. Read just one of the man's books. Do yourself a big favor. He's been predicting this for 30 years.
Listen, let me ask you this. Has he got blogs and things out? Because the point was made by one commentator over the weekend is that nobody, particularly young people, don't read anymore.
Because they can't.
Well, maybe whatever the reason, they don't read.
They leave school without the basic 3, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Right, okay.
They don't want to educate the people.
All right.
All they've got is these machines that answer
what I'm saying to you
is
you're just saying to people, read the book. What I'm saying is, are there alternatives because people can't read or don't read?
Well, he does have the talking thing.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
on a lot of his, not all, but a lot of them. Yes, you can buy the audio books now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the only possible chance that we have of survival, I promise you, and we are looking at our survival, is by saying no, we're not having any of this. No, come on. I mean, you little lot talking very nasty stuff. Out with a lot of you. Out. Out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody that comes in and says, this is wonderful what they're doing to people. I'm sorry, this is, no, we can't have that, Keith. No. Under no circumstances. And we've got to keep saying no, 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 no. And if everybody does that, what chance have they got? Huh?
Well, I mean,
What
it's true.
possible chance do they have?
The big thing is to get people, whether it's no or yes or in between, to get people to talk with one voice is the most difficult thing in the world. So, I mean, that is the real challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, David Icke, a man who is banned from 28 countries. Now, why? Why?
Yeah.
Because they're frightened, petrified of the man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what a bag full this morning. I think it might be a good idea, if you don't mind this. If and when, there's a slight element of doubt, if and when Israel do invade Gaza, that a day or two after that's occurred, there is bound to be various reactions. And I think that it would be a good idea, Liza, if it doesn't fall so that you could do it next Monday, is if you could do it in between, if it becomes imminent,
I'd be
is that
delighted.
you get your reaction.
I would be absolutely delighted.
Okay,
I really would. And I'm grateful to anyone that's listening to me, because I've never been in a situation like this in all my years.
Yes,
neither of you, Keith.
No, that's right. The world has changed dramatically and immensely.
Very, very quickly. And very, very quickly.
And I think actually people who are over 50 are much faster to recognize it. And
because we recognize the pattern from the last World War, which is identical.
Yeah.
So they say if it worked once, it'll work twice.
Yes. I mean, not only from the last World War, but from the one before that as well. Yeah.
Well, I don't remember. I'm not that old. I don't remember that one. And quite frankly, I'm ashamed of myself because I haven't done enough homework on it. That was the Kaiser, wasn't it?
Yes,
Kaiser
it was.
Wilhelm.
I mean, it was the same thing, really. It was all fighting for dominance.
Yes.
The European, except in those days, it was really the monarchs. Well, there were far more kingdoms and what's the word for where there's royalty than there are now, of course. But basically, they were all fighting for a position, wealth, power, and so on. Mm-hmm. And you're right, is that's where the wheel turns all the time. I mean, no matter how many times we say it will not happen again, it does happen again. Yeah.
Absolutely. And people know, well, that's war, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, don't be silly. There's always going to be wars. You're not going to stop wars. Well, with that attitude, I'm wasting
You're never going to stop them.
I'm wasting my time talking.
Yeah. Well, you know what I say to you is Fabian tactics. Fabian tactics.
Well, listen, those people over there in Israel, they're not having it, are they?
No. I mean, to be quite honest with you,
God bless them.
Is when you started broadcasting with us, which has got to be over a year ago now, you felt that anything that you said went into the wind. But now you get a demonstration of several tens of thousands of people. Mm-hmm. It just shows that whether it's you or your, let me put it this way, people of your persuasion, or whether they were latent people, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that what you're saying is beginning to pick up. People are beginning to pay attention.
Oh God, I hope so, because I'm putting a lot of faith in the British people. We're slow to cut now, but once we know, hey, come on, mate,
once we get going,
not having it.
No, that's right.
And I really hope and pray that they do wake up to this.
Well, the time races by, doesn't it? We've already gone 35 minutes.
And I have to leave early too, my darling.
Yeah, right.
Well, on 12. I've got somewhere to go. But I will call you tonight with the information that I get during the day.
Right.
It's...
okay, well, I think that was 35 minutes of really packed information. And I think we'll leave people to digest.
Yeah.
And
before, you see, these wars and all that, they're all put there as a red herring, Now, I'm concentrating terribly, the same as a lot of other people, on this war in Israel. Meanwhile, they're passing bills that we don't know about.
That's a good time to do it, isn't it?
Yes, a good time to bury bad news, you see.
Yeah.
And so they are coming on, pushing these bills, especially that.
Well, you're the one that does the research.
Yes,
so I think it might be a good idea next Monday if you come on and tell us a couple of things that they've pushed through.
I will, and this bill is already censoring British internet. It's already gone through, as we know.
Right.
And that is all to do with Ofcom, which was started by Tony Blair, and which is now affiliated with Silicon Valley. They're all in this together, my darling.
All right.
All in the lot. And of course, Israel's internet has been censored for forever, I think, ever since it started. Those poor people can't get any news over there. And now, America has started this censoring, and Britain's already passed the bill. So it's going to be more and more difficult to get information, Keith, because even the banned channels that are invaluable at the moment, I think they're going to make it just too expensive for them to.
Well, that's the way to do it, isn't it? That's the way they did it with pirate radio.
That's it. Yes. Yeah. But they found a way, didn't they?
Yeah, eventually,
they went out into the ocean. Good old.
It took 20 years.
Caroline. Yeah. With when they take over this new world order, which will be totally communism, on exactly the same thing as China. Well, now and right from the very, very beginning, it will be absolutely terrible. But people do seem to find a way. But you see, once this applies worldwide, which is what they want, the communist regime, so that they can bring in the one world order and that business, and one world government, one world military, and, kill off the oldies. Yes, once they have all that in place by 2030, it could take us 300 years to get out of it. It really could, because the main thing is to dehumanize the population. All you're going to live forever because we're going to attach you to the cloud. The cloud is what they keep on doing. And with all this radiation that we are suffering, and the drugs in our food and what have you, there will be very, very few human beings such as you and I left, because the rest will be subhuman, which is what they want.
Pretty frightening stuff.
It's very frightening stuff, and people are just frightened. I was trying to tell a relative, and she said, well, I know everything you're saying is true, but I have to put my head in the sand. I can't deal with it. And it's... But
Well, somebody's got to deal with it. So,
well, they listen. I mean, if we don't deal with it, what
tell us
chance
what
have
you
we
can.
got?
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Right, yeah. Next Monday it is. If not before, if things happen hot up, you'll dive in.
Most certainly, Keith. Anytime you want me here, I'm at your disposal.
Good.
You know I am.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Now I've got to remember what I'm doing here. The that little hand there is very, very busy little hand, and it zips around all over the place. So let's see. So that's Liza Page. I'm Keith Hayes. Remember that we now will repeat this program tomorrow, and we'll be back live Wednesday, bright and early at 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning, and then again on Friday. But it gives you an opportunity to see her again tomorrow, for God's sake. Jesus, who wants to wake up to this? Beep, 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 beep. Hello, it's Liza.